"Your Honor, I've been wearing this badge for 17 years, and I know a criminal when I see one." Those were the words Deputy Travis Cole would soon say under oath, pointing confidently across a courtroom at a quiet black woman in an orange jumpsuit, never imagining that every lie he spoke was tightening a noose around his own career. But 3 months before that moment, on a long stretch of rural highway where the cornfields blurred into dust and no one seemed to be watching, the trap was already being set. Redwood Parish was the kind of place that sold itself as peaceful and proud, a county where deputies were trusted without question and complaints quietly disappeared into filing cabinets stamped unfounded. Over 5 years, nearly 20 citizens, mostly black, mostly poor, had come forward with eerily similar stories. Traffic stops with no cause, claims of smelling marijuana, searches without consent, drugs suddenly appearing, lives unraveling overnight. And every time, the department investigated itself and found nothing wrong. From the outside, Redwood Parish looked like a postcard. White steepled churches, Friday night football, neighbors waving from porches. But beneath the surface, something corrosive had taken root. And far away in a federal office filled with analysts and quiet alarms, someone finally noticed. Patterns don't lie, and the numbers coming out of Redwood Parish made no sense. An arrest rate wildly disproportionate to its population, a conviction rate that defied probability, and one deputy's name appearing again and again at the center of it all, Travis Cole. So the FBI's Civil Rights Division made a decision they rarely made and never lightly. They would send someone in alone, without a badge, without backup, to live inside the system long enough to let it reveal itself. Her name was Naomi Elise Carter, a 10-year veteran of the Bureau, trained in undercover work and civil rights investigations, and when they asked her if she would volunteer, she didn't hesitate. "Someone has to be the one they stop," she said. Naomi arrived in Redwood Parish quietly, rented a modest duplex on Pine Street, took a receptionist job at a dental clinic, and drove an aging Toyota Camry with a cracked taillight she never fixed. She smiled politely, spoke little, and became exactly what the department expected her to be: invisible, vulnerable, forgettable. Her apartment told a story that wasn't hers. Family photos borrowed from a prop department, a child's drawing taped to the refrigerator, while hidden recording devices captured everything she saw and heard. And she waited. Deputy Travis Cole, meanwhile, went about his routines with the confidence of a man who believed the system existed to protect him. He had commendations on his wall, friends in high places, and a reputation for getting results, which in Redwood Parish meant arrests, convictions, and no questions asked. He talked freely in the break room about cleaning up the county, about certain people who didn't belong, about how easy it was to spot trouble if you knew what to look for. His partner, Deputy Lena Morales, heard it all and said nothing, telling herself it wasn't her place, that she had kids and bills and a future she couldn't afford to lose. Then came the evening of October 9th, when Naomi Carter drove home along County Highway 47, speed steady, hands at 10 and 2, every traffic law obeyed. She saw the patrol car pull out behind her in the rearview mirror and felt her pulse quicken, not from fear, but from recognition. Probability had finally caught up. The lights flashed. She pulled over slowly, hands visible, heart steady. Travis Cole approached without introducing himself, flashlight cutting into her face, already annoyed. "License and registration." She asked calmly why she'd been stopped. He ignored the question. "I smell weed," he said flatly, though there was none, had never been. "Step out of the vehicle." Naomi complied, every movement deliberate, aware that a hidden camera embedded in her key fob was recording every second. Cole searched with theatrical aggression, tossing her belongings aside, narrating his authority, while Morales stood back, watching, uneasy. Then Cole's hand moved, quick, practiced, into his jacket pocket, then under the passenger seat, emerging with a small plastic bag of white powder. "Well now," he said with satisfaction, "looks like cocaine." Naomi said softly, "That's not mine," and Cole smiled the way men smile when they believe they have all the power. She was cuffed, pushed into the back of the patrol car, the door slammed shut, and as the road slid past in darkness, she waited, knowing something Cole didn't. 6 hours earlier, FBI technicians had swept her car down to the molecular level. It had been clean. If there were drugs in it now, there was only one explanation: and it was recorded from 2 angles with perfect audio. But Naomi didn't reveal herself, didn't challenge him, didn't call a lawyer. Because the roadside wasn't the endgame. The courtroom was. And Travis Cole, convinced he'd just made another easy arrest, had no idea that the woman sitting silently behind him was there to make sure he told the same lies again. This time under oath, with the whole system watching. By the time Naomi Carter appeared in the Redwood Parish courtroom 3 weeks later, Deputy Travis Cole believed the outcome was already decided. The charge, felony possession with intent to distribute, was familiar territory, the kind of case that rarely failed him. Naomi sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, hands folded, expression calm, looking exactly like the type of defendant Cole had built his career on. Quiet, isolated, and easy to dismiss. The prosecutor asked for high bail, citing her lack of local ties, and the judge granted it without hesitation. Naomi didn't post bail. She needed to stay exactly where she was, inside the system, long enough for it to expose itself. When the trial began, Cole took the stand with practiced ease. He swore to tell the truth and launched into his version of events, describing erratic driving, the strong smell of marijuana, and a hostile, uncooperative suspect. He testified that the drugs were discovered in plain view and that his body camera had malfunctioned, as it sometimes did. The jury listened closely, many nodding along. Cole sounded confident, experienced, believable. Naomi didn't react. She stared ahead, letting him speak, letting every lie settle into the official record. Then Public Defender Marcus Hill stood to cross-examine. His questions were calm, almost casual at first, about Cole's years of service, his training, his patrol area. Then Hill shifted to the body camera. Cole repeated that it had failed. Hill introduced department records showing multiple camera malfunctions, nearly all during traffic stops involving minority drivers. The prosecutor objected. The judge allowed it. A subtle tension filled the room. Cole's jaw tightened, but he held his ground. Hill asked one final question. Deputy Cole, is it your testimony that no video exists of the traffic stop involving Miss Carter? Cole answered firmly. That's correct. Hill turned toward the judge. Your Honor, the defense would like to introduce video evidence. The courtroom stirred. Cole looked up sharply. What video? The screen came to life. Clear footage showed the entire stop. Naomi pulling over calmly, Cole claiming to smell marijuana, the aggressive search. Then the crucial moment. Cole's hand slipping into his jacket pocket before reaching under the seat, the small bag appearing in his grasp. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. The prosecutor froze. Cole shook his head, whispering that it was fake, but the video kept playing, indifferent to his denial. Hill approached the bench and handed the judge a sealed document. She read it, her expression changing instantly. Hill turned to the jury. My client is not who the prosecution believes she is. Naomi stood slowly. My client is Special Agent Naomi Elise Carter of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The room erupted. Reporters scrambled. The judge slammed her gavel for order. 2 agents in dark jackets stepped forward from the back of the courtroom, badges visible. Cole sat frozen, the truth crashing down on him all at once. The woman he had framed wasn't powerless or invisible. She had been watching him, recording him, waiting patiently for the moment he would lie where it mattered most, under oath. The courtroom never fully settled after that. Even as the judge restored order, the damage was already done. Deputy Travis Cole sat rigid at the witness stand, his uniform suddenly looking more like a costume than authority. The confidence he'd carried in with him had drained away, replaced by the slow, unmistakable realization that he wasn't in control anymore. Judge Evelyn Grant dismissed the charges against Naomi Carter on the spot and ordered Cole suspended pending federal investigation. As the gavel came down, Naomi didn't celebrate. She simply exhaled, the tension she'd carried for months finally easing. She entered the courtroom that morning in jail-issued orange. She walked out escorted by federal agents in navy jackets, her badge finally visible. What followed moved faster than anything Redwood Parish had ever seen. Within hours, FBI vehicles filled the sheriff's department parking lot. Search warrants were executed. Files were seized. Computers, body cameras, and evidence lockers were boxed and removed. Cole's past arrests were flagged for review, dozens of them, and the pattern became impossible to ignore. His success rate collapsed under scrutiny. Convictions that once looked airtight unraveled when examined in daylight. Men and women who had spent years insisting they were framed were suddenly being believed. Deputy Lena Morales was interviewed 2 days later. This time, she didn't look away. She told investigators about the cameras being turned off, about searches that didn't feel right, about the moment on County Highway 47 when she'd seen Cole's hand move too smoothly to be a coincidence. Her voice shook as she spoke, not from fear this time, but from relief. Telling the truth felt heavier and better than silence ever had. 3 months later, Travis Cole stood in a federal courtroom as a defendant. No badge, no support from the department that once shielded him. The same video played again, frame by frame, each second undoing years of unchecked power. Victims testified. Records were read. Lies were stacked against evidence, and evidence won. The verdict came back guilty on all counts: civil rights violations, evidence tampering, perjury. The sentence was long enough to make the point unmistakably clear. Naomi Carter was there when it ended, seated quietly in the back row. When asked later why she hadn't revealed herself the night she was arrested, her answer was simple. Because apologies don't change systems, she said. Truth does. Today, Redwood Parish operates under federal oversight. Body cameras can't be turned off. Complaints are reviewed by people outside the department. It isn't perfect, but it's different. And on County Highway 47, cars still pass through the fields every day, unaware of how close justice came to never arriving at all. Because sometimes the truth doesn't burst in loudly. Sometimes it waits.